Welcome to Copilots, the podcast where we watch not just the first episode of a show,
but also the second. Some shows don't have the best pilot episode, but giving it a second chance might just change your mind.
Here, we take that second chance for you and let you know if a show's worth more than just one shot, brother.
I'm Justice. Alongside me is my co-pilot Josh, and I got tired of that bit, so I stopped. Let's get ready for takeoff. Your in-flight entertainment this time will be Invincible Fight Girl. The Invincible Fight Girl? So, Invincible Fight Girl is a animated series that premiered on Toonami.
It's about wrestling.
It is about wrestling.
Which is why the bits. The brother, the woo, the, over-the-top, hyper-masculine, promo voice.
You mean the bit that was me, I'm not going to do this anymore?
Yeah, the thing that, made us have to redo the intro 7 times?
Something like that. Turns out, sometimes, doing a bit kills scripts.
It's like, we have...
The one scripted part of the show, we were just like, we can't do it. We can't do it in a voice.
The script is memorized, and it's, memorized as you, so as soon as you try to, it's like, we don't even think about the intro anymore, right?
Yeah, no, I'm just like, this is the style of elocution I use to deliver my bit at the beginning, and
I don't even know what my second line of my opening is until after you said your first line.
I don't know what any of mine is until you speak.
Yeah, so as soon as you start trying to augment that and take your brain off autopilot, it all just goes in the dumpster, right in the dumpster. But yeah, so show's Invincible Fight Girl, like you said. I think Toonami.
I think it's the Invincible Fight Girl. I think there's a THE, but I might be wrong.
Nope, just Invincible Fight Girl.
All right, I was right the first time.
But yeah, it premiered on Toonami. Toonami, November 3rd, 2024, and it was also on a 1 day delay for streaming on Max.
Yeah, because Toonami is Cartoon Network. Cartoon Network is owned by Warner.
But I think season 2 is just slated to be on Adult Swim, not specifically Toonami.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But yeah, the show is an animated action adventure.
It's an animated Western young adult cartoon that is very heavily inspired by anime.
Yeah, and it's about
Andy.
Yep, I wasn't scrolling through my notes for a name.
Young girl who wants to become a wrestler.
The problem is, she lives on Accountant Island, where everybody's an accountant.
It's Accountant Isle. Though she refers to it as an island, I'm just like, okay, fair. But because there is a very unique thing about Andy's world.
You're either a wrestler or an accountant.
Yes, there's Accountant Isle, and then everything else is wrestling.
And it's hard not to, at least with this first episode, see the, metaphor for, either sexuality or gender. Because Andy spends the entire episode being like, I can't tell my parents. What would they think of me? I have to hide this because nobody will accept me as a wrestler. I'm an accountant.
It's also hard to not miss that the accountants are against the natural order of the world, given the fact that the world has continents shaped like a flexing bicep. The accountants are the ones that are wrong here.
The accountants aren't against the world. It's just a simple fact.
No, I'm saying they're against the natural order of what occurred. Obviously, in evolution, the world is focused around muscles and punching things.
Oh, so what you're saying is, even though the world's based off of pro wrestling, it would be pro wrestling without the capitalistic circumstances around it if accountants just hadn't ever come into existence.
Yes, accountants created the capitalistic society that pro wrestling is apparently also involved in.
So instead of being a starter wrestler and working for a handshake and a hot dog as the bit goes, they would just be fighting for fun and for pleasure instead of having to worry about getting paid or getting food for their efforts.
Yeah, I'm saying the entire existence of accountants is clearly because someone somewhere was like, I'm bad at wrestling. I'm going to create the concept of money. And then I'm going to get all these other bad wrestlers. We're going to build a society and convince all these other wrestlers that they have to pay us money. This thing I invented.
Well, there's also obviously a government.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think the entire first episode hinges around tax day.
Yes.
But we should actually get into the show itself. So, Andy.
So, episode 1.
I Am.
Which starts with a delightful narration from the amazing, legendary Keith David. You've heard his voice before. You know you've heard his voice before. If you don't know, then you're wrong.
Wasn't Keith David in The Thing? Yes.
Yes.
That's the one I remember him from.
Yeah, he was also in Gargoyles, other John Carpenter films, because he was very much like Kurt Russell. John Carpenter was like, I like that guy, I'm gonna keep using him.
Oh yeah, he was also in Armageddon.
Mm-hmm.
And he voiced in Princess Mononoke?
Yeah, Keith David's done a lot of voice acting work, and he's also done a lot of normal acting work. Like, people know him, even if they're not aware they know him.
Wait, Keith David's in The Replacements?
I believe so.
No, it's not I believe so. I'm on his IMDb right now. Who's Lyndall in The Replacements? Sorry, podcast, but Replacements is like one of my favorite movies of all times, and the fact that I don't remember seeing Keith David in it is throwing me for a loop.
What'd you say his name was in that?
Lyndall.
Isn't that one of, guy names Lackeys?
Not for sure. Not for sure what's going on.
I've got no idea.
He might be a coach.
Entirely possible.
Huh. I'm going to rewatch The Replacements tomorrow. My apologies for going off on a tangent, though.
He also voiced Spawn in the Mortal Kombat games. I think he voiced Spawn in several other instances as well.
He also made the incredibly terrible career decision as to voice a character in Final Fantasy The Spirits Within.
Yeah.
But like you said, opening scene is narrated by Keith David, famous for Gargoyles. He plays the big one, the main character.
Yeah.
Whose name I forget.
No idea. I mean, he's also the Flame King in Adventure Time.
Yeah, Keith David, famous. And it begins with a flashback 10 years before the current era.
Yes.
Where Andy's parents have, for some reason, because they seem to hate wrestling, taken Andy, who has never seen wrestling before, to Rumble Rama 76?
I believe so.
Where Andy, in the voiceover, declares that's the moment she knew she wanted to become a wrestler.
Yeah.
Just like Queso Poblano, because the match that they went to see, the headlining match of the night, is a tag team championship match between...
the Fedora twins, something like that?
The Fedora twins, yeah.
And Barong and Queso Poblana. But when we start with what we're seeing of the match, Queso Poblana is not there. It is just Barong taking on the two champions.
Earlier in the night, there was definitely a prepackaged video where Queso Poblano was attacked by the Fedora twins.
Yeah, or something happened with their flight. Like, there was something that was like, she can't be here.
Maybe she wasn't attacked by the Fedora twins, but there was some scuffling noise off screen and the camera pans, and Queso Poblano's been knocked unconscious on the ground and is covered in chairs, and it's like, who did this?
Yeah.
And then we get another back scene segment later where it's like, the Fedora twins are like, if Poblano can't make it to the match, we're gonna walk out tag team champions tonight.
I think they're going to remain, because I think they weren't. I think they were.
Yeah, I think so. But, irregardless. So, they are winning. They're beating...
Barong.
And it's close. It's the 2v1.
He's putting up a really good fight.
Barong is doing well, but he just can't keep up with the numbers, man. The numbers game is getting to him.
Because it is not a straight-up tag match. It appears to be a tornado tag.
Yeah, and the numbers are getting to him. He just can't. And it looks like the Fedora twins are about to win. And what's this? What's that music? That's Queso Poblano coming down to the ring to make the save. She
made it!
Yeah. I'm sorry. This is
Yeah. And then immediately you see the inspiration of anime in this, which there already was kind of in the fighting, but Queso Poblano moves through the ring so fast we literally get DBZ instant transmission sounds, and they continue to happen throughout this fight as she beats the fuck out of these two.
She'll
because Barong was in a tight spot just as she comes out, and he just got fucking laid out,
double teamed, and almost pinned. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Poblano will Irish whip one of them towards the ropes, and then before they can hit the ropes, be behind them and elbow them in the back.
Yeah.
It's straight up Dragon Ball Z style of throw
but it's really, really well done too.
Get in front of you, intercept you with an elbow or a knee.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then she pins both of them simultaneously.
Yeah.
You can't see my finger quotations, audience, but pins, because neither of them are on their back.
Mm-hmm.
They're both on their stomachs, which means they can't actually be pinned because that's not how wrestling works.
Yeah. And then we cut to
in any civilized society, that's not how wrestling works.
Yeah. And then we cut to a close-up of Andy's face as he's getting on Starfield. And then when we move back, this is assuming happening at the same time, Queso Poblano is still standing on them because she's just doing the I'm such a badass, I'm a hero pose, where she just has a foot on their chest for the pin.
Mm-hmm.
But now one of them is on their back. However, they're definitely still not pinned because the only one on their back is the one on top, because they're stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
So he's still not being pinned.
Yeah, his shoulders aren't flat on the mat.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume she won and knocked them the fuck out because there's no response there.
Hey.
But not a pin.
They said specifically the only way to win is pinfall or submission.
Or until...
Knockout doesn't count. You gotta get them to submit or pin them.
I don't think they declared the rules for this match, but when we see another match, they say knockout. Well, they don't say knockout. They say submission, pin, or until the other wrestler cannot go anymore, which would be a knockout or a TKO.
Fair enough. Anyways, from there, we jump 10 years into the future, or actually to the present, where Andy is getting ready for one of her last days of school as an accountant. Her finals tests are coming up.
Well, we don't really know she's an accountant here. Her parents are like, oh, we're so proud of you. This is going to be such a big day. We got this for you. Which, because they're not explaining anything, there's the possibility of like, it's meant to be a bit of a swerve.
Yeah.
And then they hand her a lime green 80s style blazer jacket.
Power suit, I think is what they said.
They say it's a power suit, but the top would just be a blazer jacket.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, oh, thanks. What is this? It's the power suit. It's been in our family since blah, 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 since like your great-great-grandpappy. And she's like,
was great-great-grandpappy a square?
According to the art, yes.
Her father's like, people were built different back then. You can't just...
People were built different back in Pappy's day. Yeah.
And that's a fun bit they have. The father will get like, not angry, but like indignant about something.
Yes.
And so the wife will have to like put her arm around him and like pat him to like get him, like, again, he's not angry, he's just
worked up.
Yeah.
He feels what he feels.
So we cut to her in class for the day, and everybody's like typing away at their computers, being like,
and then we see her and she's just slowly, one at a time, finger pecking it. And she's got these tiny little wrestling figures on her desk.
And the teacher's walking around and being like, you have to be quick. Your final exam is tomorrow. You need to make sure you're doing da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And then she gets to Andy and she's like, are you sure that this is what you want to be doing?
Well, actually, she goes to really talk to Andy.
Yeah.
Another teacher busts in and he's like, the entire 6th floor is out.
And then everybody in the room panics, and we as an audience go, what?
And so does Andy, and she leans over to one of her classmates and is like, what? He's like, don't you know? And then exposition time. So kids will start at this accountant school.
And they start on the first floor.
Mm-hmm. And then they go up a floor each year.
They graduate floors. Mm-hmm. And after the 5th floor,
they graduate and go out into the world to become accountants.
But the best of the best
get hired on by the academy to work on the 6th floor.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently one of the higher ups on the 6th floor took everyone out to eat because tomorrow was tax day. So it was supposed to be, preemptive celebration, like a good job team.
Yeah, you never celebrate early though.
No. And they all got food poisoning.
That's how you lose a match.
Mm-hmm. They all got food poisoning.
And so instead, it's going to be up to the senior class. They're not actually senior, but like the graduate class to do the taxes for the wrestlers on tax day. Because on tax day, all the wrestlers from all across the globe descend upon Accountant Isle.
Yeah.
To have their taxes done.
Yep.
Because not only is this a capitalistic hellscape, but there's taxes, which means there's also a government.
Yeah. And now the graduating class's final shall be tax day.
Yep. The original test scrapped, new test, due taxes.
So everyone else was like, oh god, no. The wrestlers are terrifying. If we mess anything up, they'll kill us. And Andy's just like, wrestlers. I'm gonna meet wrestlers. Ooh.
So, after all the freak out, we come back to Andy at home. She has dinner with her family. And then, when she should be in bed sleeping or studying for tax day tomorrow, instead we find her out in the woods where she is stuck away to secretly train in a wrestling ring she's built.
Assumably by herself.
With a wooden dummy that she's built.
And she's also somehow got power out here because she is watching wrestling videotapes, like instructional wrestling videotapes, a la 80s jazzercise, about wrestling moves.
I'm pretty sure these were like tapes you could buy in real life too.
I'm pretty sure, I think they did exist.
Yeah, like, because...
Like karate instructions on tape.
Yeah, and like wrestling instruction on tape. 100% worth thing. But she's learning about a move called the ankle crank.
Yeah.
Which is really just an ankle lock. I think it's actually like a cross knee ankle lock.
That's what it looks like.
That might be the wrong exact terminology.
I don't fucking know wrestling.
A knee bar ankle lock, that might be what I was thinking. Because it's not just like a grab the ankle, twist, and hold pressure. It's like wrap it, get your legs crossed over their knee. Yeah, it's a knee bar ankle lock.
I learned something because I wanted to check what Andy's full name was because I couldn't remember. I knew what her middle name is because it's fucking hilarious, but I couldn't remember her full first name. Mm-hmm. And in doing so, I found a thing that lists the executive producers and stuff. One of the executive producers of this is Sam Register, which makes sense.
I don't know who that is.
He's one of animation's executive producers for like Cartoon Network a lot of the time.
Okay.
But one of his first really popular shows that he executively produced was Teen Titans 06. And they ended up naming a character after him in the DC Comics called Dr. Register, who is a Beast Boy villain and tried to get Beast Boy powers, but instead ended up with poisonous cloud DNA, and he's purple instead of green.
I want you to know, you said Sam, and then you started making an R noise, and I was like, Sam Reich was a developer?
Sam Reich?
Sam Reich was a producer on this show? What?
No.
Like, you were like, Sam, and I'm like...
No.
That's what my brain did.
Yeah.
But, so she is out in the forest training. Even despite the fact that she's about to graduate and become an accountant, she still hopes to be a wrestler.
Yeah.
And despite that, well, I guess because of that, she falls asleep out in the woods.
Yep.
And wakes up late on tax day.
So she rushes to the school tax business.
The academy, yeah. It's called the academy.
Do you think that the academy has a school in it as well as actual like functioning tax offices for a tax cut?
Well, I mean, even in America, like like elementary, middle, and high schools, like so colleges and universities, typically also have businesses housed within them of some sort. Like it is very common for university or colleges to have businesses associated with them. So yeah, I imagine that there is like the Accountant Academy Tax Services.
Oh, I was just saying they did it all for a tax cut.
Oh, well.
Because they're accountants.
Yeah, that makes sense too.
That was a joke.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It was just meant to be a joke.
I thought it was a serious question.
No, it was just meant to be a brief, tiny joke. Like, yeah, obviously, but
so also, I made it funnier by explaining the joke.
Yeah, hilarious now.
Thank you. But she gets there, and her teacher pulls her aside and is like,
"Hey, you're not the best at this. Are you sure you want to be doing this?"
And she's like, "Yeah, I can't wait to like work with the wrestlers."
And she's like, "Well, I'm not gonna let you do that. You are late today of all days. It's tax day.
And look at how you're dressed because she has her like wrestling tights on underneath
her
and she's
fucking
really
power
disheveled.
jacket."
Yeah. And so, sadly, Andy is essentially kicked out of the academy.
Well, no, because the teacher...
I mean the academy building.
Yeah.
I meant the academy building.
Because the teacher is explicitly like, you don't have to worry about this. You just don't do anything for the rest of the week, and I'll pass you.
For the rest of the day, yeah. Just
leave.
Just leave.
And
don't do
pass.
anything, and you graduate.
Ooh.
Please go away now.
Yeah, so Andy is despondent, goes outside, and who does she find out there but the student she talked to about the one who gave us exposition?
I think his name is Mike.
Sure.
It's very generic.
And he's like, what are you doing? They're down one person in there because you're out. And he's like, I can't do it. Have you seen wrestlers? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, they're terrifying. She's like, eh. He's like, I can't handle it. She's like, well, if they were gonna need the help, I guess I could do it. He's like,
Specifically, she's like, you can't just leave him down a person. He's like, I can't do it. And she's like, well, I could do you a favor and I could cover you. He's like, would you really?
Yeah.
So Andy sneaks back in
and takes Mike's desk, assuming that's his name.
Mm-hmm. And there is a group of wrestlers called the Perm Gang who have a bunch of disorganized receipts, and they're yelling at somebody, and they're like, don't you know who we are? And they do a whole bit, and the person they're yelling at is like, we just don't have an open desk right now. We don't have somebody that can attend to your taxes.
By a whole bit, he means they form a pose after doing each individual like little stunts / poses. Very Ginyu Force.
Well, by the bit, I mean like they each introduce themselves as the perm of da-da-da. The perm of, and then
they strike a pose and they're all out of breath.
Yeah. And so Andy speaks up. She's like, oh, I could help you.
Yeah.
And so the Perm Gang come over and they dump their receipts. And like, you know who we are? And she's like, yeah, you're the Perm Gang. And the leader's like, yeah, see, she knows who we are.
She gets it.
And Andy in her mind's like, I can't believe I get to work with famous wrestlers my first time. There's no proof that these guys are famous.
And given their energy, I don't think they are.
Yeah, me neither.
They don't have a good gimmick.
And so, while Andy's like sorting through the receipts and stuff, she goes, so, do you think anyone can be a wrestler?
To which they all immediately are like, you? Could you be a wrestler? And they start fucking laughing.
Yeah.
So she gets really sad and runs the fuck away, takes their receipts, puts them in a break room, and leaves.
And because it should be noted that the wrestlers were carrying their receipts in a trash bag.
Yep.
So she takes that trash bag of receipts, leaves it in the break room, and then runs away. And outside after Andy's run away.
She's sitting at a dock.
Yeah, and she's like, incredibly despondent, upset, and an old lady.
I guess I can't be a wrestler.
Yeah, she's like, I guess I can never be a wrestler. And an old lady walks by and goes, it's not whether you can be. It's not whether you can be or can't be. Nobody can give you permission.
You either are or you aren't.
And Andy goes, huh.
And then she hears a lot of fucking destruction.
And she runs back into town, or the proper town standard.
Town proper, because she was at the harbor, because a lot of the other wrestlers are. Because she's been there so long, it's the end of tax day. Wrestlers are getting on boats and leaving Accountant Isle.
Yeah, and then she rushes back to town, and Perm Gang are destroying everything, and they're like,
yeah,
you lost our receipts, we can't get to those deductibles now.
Now we're stuck on this fucking garbage dump or whatever. Insult Accountant Isle, which, honestly, fair. It's an aisle full of accountants.
But then Andy has like a flash in her brain about what happened to those receipts because she left them in the break room, and then the custodian came by and would have thought they were just trash because they were in a trash bag and it was just paper.
Yeah. So Immaculate, the leader of the Perm Gang, has someone like hoisted up by their shirt and he's like threatening them. And Andy runs over and she's like, stop it, it's my fault. It's completely my fault. Let them go, stop harassing them. And he's like, oh, Is it now? Well, we're gonna have a problem. And continues to throw a fucking fit.
Until Andy eventually challenges him to a match.
To which he starts laughing and he's like, what are you, scared? And he's like, what the fuck did you just say to me?
And then, sensing two wrestlers who both have agreed to engage in combat,
Yes.
a satellite out in orbit around the planet shoots a metal pod flying through the atmosphere until it crashes in between Immaculate Perm and Andy.
There is an orbital, laser-guided wrestling ring deployment system in this world.
As there should be in all worlds.
It's fucking wild.
We need it in real life.
Andy rightly freaks out. She's like, "Dude, you just launched a missile at us?"
And Immaculate's like, well, only kind of. You
Yeah.
might want to stand back for this. And the metal missile container basically explodes open and forms into a ring. It's kind of like when you buy a mattress online and it comes in like this vacuum sealed package. It's like a rectangle that's like only half as tall as you are.
Yeah.
And you open the box up and it just goes
Mm-hmm.
like that.
And then just when you think it's done, you slice the plastic around it a little bit and it poofs up again.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it goes boom,
And,
boom.
mm-hmm.
And now we have a ring.
And then out of the very center of the ring pops up a little robot who is also our referee.
And the robot introduces the rules to the match, which is the match will continue until an opponent gets a pinfall or submission over the other opponent.
Or the other one or one of them cannot continue.
Mm-hmm. And then the match begins. It's the Immaculate Perm versus the Invincible Fight Girl. She doesn't actually have a name yet. She
gets called Accountant Girl.
Accountant Girl, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
I thought I said Girl Accountant.
No, he calls her Accountant Girl.
Oh, that was a joke about
Ah.
Spider-Man. I said Man Spider.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did you a favor. Spider-Man's gonna stick so much better.
So Andy attempts to fight. She just immediately gets fucking wrecked. Like, she is just getting knocked the fuck around.
Yeah, Immaculate Perm maybe like a 40-year-old washed up probably never was.
Yeah.
But he still like has been wrestling for like 20 plus years.
And is a full-grown man beating up like a 14-year-old maybe, 15 at the oldest.
I was thinking like 17, 18-year-old. Because like I was assuming like you became an accountant like at adulthood.
Maybe. I don't know. She was giving me like mid-teen vibes at best. But it was also very hard to gauge how old she was 10 years ago because we only ever really saw her face. I didn't have like a height basis to be like, this is how tiny she was compared to her parents, and this is how tall she is now compared to her parents.
You're right. Andy is 14.
I'm good at guessing cartoon character ages.
It's wild. But so she's getting the shit kicked out of her.
Yeah.
And at one point, like she goes for an ankle pick and almost gets it. And Immaculate's like, that would have worked if it was a less skilled wrestler you were up against.
Yeah.
And at this point, the entire town is kind of like rallying behind Andy.
Yeah,
like,
they're all just like, what the fuck? Leave her alone. She's a little girl. And Immaculate's like, nah. And then the rest of his stables is like, nah. And then proceed to start picking up the people and like shaking them and tossing stuff at them.
And at this point, Mike, the other accountant, is on the side of the ring. He's like, Andy, get out of there. And like reaching his hand in to try to like help her get out because she's been beat to a pulp and is like laying in the corner.
Was earlier hit by a spear, but not a wrestling spear, not like a shoulder to the gut. Instead, the Immaculate Spear, which involves him diving like a normal spear and then spinning like a drill in the air with his hands pointed out above his head.
Yeah, it's the same like spear move Ginyu uses in Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yeah, I do think
you're the one that made the Ginyu Force reference. I thought you would have seen that.
I should have.
Yeah, but he hit her with that, and she's been getting the shit kicked out of her. And, like, she's like, no, I can't. This is my one opportunity. She remembers the words of that old woman about there's no becoming a wrestler. You are either a wrestler or you aren't. And she's like, I am a wrestler. And, like, gets to her feet. And Immaculate goes, oh, what's this? And then proceeds to attack her again. He's like, he lands some hits.
Yeah.
But it's all because she's letting him hit her now? Like,
no, this time she does drop for a moment. And she's wondering if she can still actually do it. And then all the accountants start throwing shit at Immaculate.
Yeah.
And then she's like, wait, they're helping. Then she remembers the old lady stuff. Okay. She gets up.
She gets up and she lets Immaculate, like, hit her a couple times.
Yeah.
But it's all so that she can get in his position to, like, pick his ankle while he's only on one foot, which prevents, like, you can't dodge when you're on one foot and somebody goes to pick your ankle. It's
so she gets him on one foot by letting him just, like, slam his leg into her gut as she's already, like, somewhat in the air.
Yeah.
And then she manages to do classic anime/cartoon things of changing her momentum in air to slide to the side and then wrap his ankle.
Yep, and she's got the ankle pick and she manages to put on that ankle crank that we saw earlier.
Yeah. And he's like, what? What the hell? And then just starts beating her.
Hitting and kicking because like he's in an ankle lock, and like when you're in an ankle lock like that, eventually your choices become either tap out, submit, or have a broken ankle.
Yeah.
Because even though wrestling is fake, submission holds are mostly based off of real world like
Mhm.
fighting techniques. Ankle locks are real things.
Yeah.
If you don't submit, you will not be walking away.
Yeah. So it's really just a lot of Andy being like, no, I have to tough this out, and then occasionally seeing Immaculate. Eventually, the man taps. And Andy's like, wait, what? I won? And that is the end of the episode. So, after episode 1, Josh, would you watch more Invincible Fight Girl?
Okay, so I love sports anime.
Yes.
I love wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't love Invincible Fight Girl's animation style.
Fair.
Like, it's 100% like good animation. This isn't like me saying the animation quality is not good. It's just not like vibing with me.
Fair enough.
Furthermore, there's already really good wrestling animes out there that are built around the idea that wrestling is real.
Yeah.
And like, in fact, that's the only wrestling animes we have are wrestling is real and unscripted. And that's the same way for this show. And like, I just don't care about those type of animes because like, if I want a wrestling sports anime or a wrestling animated series, what I really want is a show about like what it's like to be a wrestler. Like what it, like basically I'm saying Invincible Fight Girl is really cool in the same way Ultimate Muscle was really cool.
Yeah.
But I just don't care about it, so I don't care about watching more episodes.
Fair enough.
And like, I liked Ultimate Muscle as a kid, and I think I would have loved Invisible Fight Girl when I was like 8 to 10 years old. But as an adult, I just don't care.
Fair enough.
What about you? Would you watch more Invincible Fight Girl?
It's about wrestling.
So that's a no?
Yeah.
So,
like, its animation is good. I don't mind the style. I think I like the style more than you do.
Yeah.
But it's fine. It's, the fight animation is quite good. And the voice acting is good. Everything about it is well done.
Yeah, there's nothing specifically wrong with it. Like,
I just don't care about wrestling, and my brain tells me long term it'll be wrestling, which I don't care about, and probably tournament arc, which I don't care about.
Tournament arc is appealing.
And I'm fine.
I do like that we're both like, wouldn't watch more, but you're like, I wouldn't watch more because it's wrestling, and I'm like, I wouldn't watch more because it's not wrestling.
Yeah.
We're like,
and neither of us is wrong.
Yeah, that's the fun part about opinions. Like,
so on to episode 2.
On to episode 2, which we were obligated to watch because of the podcast. Episode 2 is entitled Dreamers and Busters.
Yep.
So episode 2 essentially picks up immediately where episode 1 ends.
Yeah.
And Immaculate is trying to like continue the fight. He's like, I can still go. And the robot's like, the match is over. You submitted. And he's like, he's getting ready to attack Andy after Andy gets distracted because her dad yells for her.
Yeah. He yells, Andronicus Dependent Smith, what do you think you're doing? I love the fucking fact that her accountant parents were like, yes, she's a dependent. That shall be her middle name.
But yeah, he yells at her full name, and Immaculate gets ready to attack her from behind. And the old lady who gave Andy the advice earlier,
an old lady who I'd like to point out has similar hair to Queso Poblana, and also an old lady who is carrying a giant pepper on her back.
A giant green pepper on her back. And
I wonder who that could be.
She like gets between Andy and Immaculate and goes, "You can't attack her. The match is over."
She doesn't get between them.
Oh, she doesn't?
No, she just walks up to the outside of the ring and like knocks it on the ground, knocks her can on the ground, and then proceeds to aura that shit.
Oh yeah, she like releases full blown like soul pressure.
We get purple on the screen. Immaculate's like, "Why can't I move?"
And she's like, "The match is over. You can't attack her now."
Yeah,
you know what that would mean.
You lost. And he eventually basically passes out because he can't handle it. And Andy gets out of the ring because her parents are like, get over here, we're going to go home, we're going to talk about this. And as she's leaving, the ring explodes. And I did not at any point see Immaculate leave the ring.
Oh, Immaculate's dead.
Pretty sure Immaculate's dead.
Yeah, because even after old lady Queso Poblano was like, the match is over, and he passed out, as soon as she released her aura, he got back out and was like, I'm going to kill you, girl. And the ring was like, that violates all our rules. Goodbye.
Bloop. Yeah,
that's headcanon.
The robot was like, get away from the ring now, but it advises them to vacate the premises.
Yeah.
Because it's about to activate its anti-theft device, which is explosions.
More real-life anti-theft devices should just be bombs.
Yeah.
Like, look, I don't think in general theft is a crime that is treated appropriately in the world.
No,
like,
it's often overly policed.
Yeah, and also because theft is generally driven by poverty, and the solution to that is not to put people in prison, it's
to cut off their hands.
It's to fix poverty.
Oh, fuck.
But,
I was wrong.
Failing to fix poverty, it would be very funny if anti-theft devices were just bombs.
Yeah, like every Tesla should come with an anti-theft device, and it should be an explosion, and I will try to steal every Tesla possible and just make sure to be out of the area before it explodes.
The thing is, you probably wouldn't even have to try to steal it if it's a Tesla anti-theft device. Yeah. It'll probably just go off while you're trapped inside your car because the door won't open.
Or, you're not trying to steal your car, it's just slightly iced over, and you're trying to open the door, and it'll blow itself up.
Yeah.
Upside, that's no more ice on the door.
That's Tesla anti-theft device.
Yeah.
But yeah, failing fixing the actual root cause of issues, we should just blow people up.
Yeah.
This is a humorous bit. I don't actually think we should be blowing people up. We should actually fix root causes such as poverty, which would eliminate the majority of crime.
Don't worry, I know how to fix poverty.
Me too.
Make all of the benches really uncomfortable, and poverty would just disappear.
Oh, I was thinking about like making these nice little camps where people can go live and work for free, and they don't have to like worry about commuting to work and back. They can just live.
And if they get out, you don't give them anything for that time they spent there monetarily.
Well, they don't get out. That's the thing. Like,
no, but if they ever do, and they're still poor, you just put them back in it.
Yeah.
And if anyone ever asks why are you doing that, they're just like, that's their fault.
Yeah,
they're breaking laws
because they're poor. They don't have a house, so we're gonna take them and move them to this camp.
Vagrancy is illegal.
Well, now they have a house to live in, and we gave them a job, and look at that, poverty solved.
Yeah, but back to the show. Andy's parents drag her home. They're like, "What do you think you're doing? That was super dangerous. You're hurt. What's going on?" And Andy's just like, eventually, after like struggling to do it in the last episode when her parents were talking about how she's going to be a great accountant at dinner, which we didn't talk about because who fucking cares. She eventually blows up here. I don't want to be an accountant. I want to be a wrestler. This outfit I'm wearing, I made it myself. And her parents were just like, "Honey, it's fine. You're young. You're confused. Don't worry about it. You just gotta fight. You're all shook up." She's like, "No, let me show you something."
And she drags him out to the woods and is like, "This is my secret training dojo."
Honestly, it's a shame this world only has accountants and wrestlers. I don't know where all these buildings that people live in came from, but hear me out. She would be a great carpenter. She made 2 full human-sized mannequins out of wood. Not the best, but they have moving joints, at least. Assumably the bookshelf, because it looks kind of handmade. A full-size wrestling ring, like regulation wrestling ring.
A TV.
I don't know if she made the TV, but I'll go with yes.
Cassette tapes about wrestling.
Yep.
Sorry, videotapes about wrestling.
And some light bulbs.
Obviously, she didn't make those last 3. That was me being facetious.
But like, she simply hand-built a wrestling ring, some bookshelves, and training mannequins. Girl should just be a carpenter.
I will say, I know that the show is a comedy, so like, it's not aiming for like any sense of realism, but if a world existed that purely revolved around wrestling, you would have like entire groups of people dedicated to being like ring boys and carpenters and like effects managers and like
roadies,
prop riggers, like all of these things would be commentators, general managers.
Yeah. And obviously there's commentators. We heard them at the very beginning of the series.
Yeah. Belt designers. Like all of these people would still exist. All of these industries would still circulate around the wrestling world.
Yeah, there'd also obviously be seamstresses, tailors, outfit costume designers.
Yeah. So the fact that there's
you'd also have to have like people for logistics that just weren't accountants to account for moving everything and the people and all that. And also, someone had to fucking design the orbital wrestling, laser guided wrestling ring deployment system.
Yeah. So essentially, we know there can't just be accountants and wrestlers. Like, the fact that the world's presentation is these are the only 2 things is abstractly wrong. And we'll learn more about that in this episode because we encounter a bar, which means there's bartenders.
I actually do like to imagine
people brewing alcohol.
I actually do like to imagine that there's just wrestlers, and that the entire success of the wrestling, like wrestlers and all their technology and stuff, is because of one person who had like a Mr. Terrific gimmick and went so hard into it. He's like, yeah, no, I made all of this to support my wrestling career. This is all a gimmick.
I guess it's kind of like Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, where like, even though the world literally revolves around motorcycles and card games, it does imply that there has to be some type of like economy and like manufacturing to like support the manufacturing.
Well, we know in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds that there is, because there's actually an entire prison system.
I didn't know about this.
Because our main character gets put in prison for a while because he is from old Domino City and ends up in new Domino City, and the warden also uses Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards to like fight the prisoners.
I didn't know about this at all. That's amazing.
There's an actual like prison system in Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds.
So are you saying that all the cards and motorcycles are manufactured by prison labor?
I would think so.
Amazing. I'm so glad I didn't know anything about 5Ds when I brought that up. Oh, Jesus.
I've seen like 2 episodes of the show, and that was one of them, and I went, what? There's prison in Yu-Gi-Oh! There's prison in Yu-Gi-Oh! We drive motorcycles and play card games?
Amazing. Yeah, so the day ends, Andy goes to bed, and the next day, Andy's parents kind of confront her, and like she's like assuming that it's bad.
Yeah.
And they're like, they ask her to describe what it feels like when she thinks about wrestling, and she goes, and her mom goes, that's what we were afraid of. That's how we feel when we think about accounting.
And Andy's like, wait, what? Really? You feel like that about accounting? Which, fair, but I have to assume in real life there are people that feel very passionately about accounting.
People are weird.
Yeah.
People have weird loves. Some of them love numbers and math and taking money from you.
I don't mind the last one.
But yeah, so her parents are like, have this whole heartfelt scene, and they're like, look, we did some research.
We crunched some numbers, and then pulled out a suitcase and dropped it on the bed. We found a
wrestling school, yeah.
nearby in Rustburn City that you can go to.
And so they send Andy off, and there's this tearful goodbye as she makes her way out of Accounting Isle into the city of Rustburn. So she arrives in Rustburn, and it's like this grody, decaying like city.
Its name tracks.
Yeah. And, like, Andy has a hard time navigating around the big city. She can't find the training gym she's looking for.
She seems to be talking to a bunch of people trying to figure out. They're all just like, nah. She tries to get on a train, fails. By fails, I mean, waits for a train. Train door opens. Rushes people out. Gets basically knocked out of the way. Next time she tries to get on the train. Train door opens. No one gets out. She goes to step on. People rush in. She gets knocked out of the way.
So she grabs, the handle in the back of the train.
Yeah.
And just rides on, the back standing platform.
And then gets arrested the moment she arrives.
She gets out of jail. Sorry, not prison, out of the police precinct, out of jail. And
wanders around a bit and finds the school building, but it's old and boarded up and no one's inside and it seems very decrepit.
And so she turns inside and runs into this guy named Craig, who is like, "Oh, hey, what can I do to help you? Oh, the school? Nobody goes there anymore. Also, can I see your phone? Oh, that phone? That's a piece of junk. Yeah. Look at this." And he slams it on the ground. He's like, "Look, it just broke when it hit the ground. That's a bad phone. It failed
the cement test." Yeah.
I have all these phones. You can get a new Craig phone, and in fact, we'll give you a bit of a discount because your old phone just broke.
And she gets very, very angry and is like, "You broke my phone. You're going to pay for it."
And Craig's like, "Well, maybe we could get you a new starter phone just from the Craig phone."
As she's advancing on him, he just takes his stand and yoinks it onto the ground because it's all cheap and doesn't fucking matter. And he takes off and she's chasing after him. And he manages to get on a train. She doesn't, so she grabs onto the back of it again.
And the police stop her before she can continue on.
Yep.
So she is now sitting dejectedly outside of the front of the police station.
Yeah.
Actually, sorry. She wanders around a little bit more after getting arrested, and she's sitting in front of a saloon called the Busters.
Yeah.
And a blonde woman in purple armor comes up to her, and she's like, "Hey, what's up?"
And I don't know for certain, but it sounded like it was Wanda Sykes.
I have no idea.
I don't think it was. It just the voice was very similar to it.
So this woman in the purple armor, we learn her name is Goldie.
Yes.
And she invites Andy into the bar. And she introduces her to a group of failed wrestlers, which failed wrestlers in this world are called Busters.
Yeah.
Which is also the name of the bar and the name of their little group. So the Busters are is the name of the saloon, the name of this group, and what they call failed wrestlers in this world.
Yeah.
And this group consists of Goldie, who we've already been introduced to.
Yeah.
A bird woman named Coca.
Yes.
And then a cactus dog guy named Pampa.
Yes. But more importantly, the most important three people in this bar seem to be obvious Cowboy Bebop references. There's a guy who looks suspiciously like Spike, a woman who looks suspiciously like Faye Valentine, a guy who looks suspiciously like Jet Black. Specifically, Spike Spiegel wearing his janitor disguise from Cowboy Bebop the movie, Faye Valentine wearing her card dealer outfit from the episode Honky Tonk Woman, and fucking Jet wearing his costume disguise from Cowboy Funk when he has long hair and is pretending to be a hippie.
And so Andy and the Busters are talking, and Andy's like, "So you guys just gave up on being wrestlers? You gave up on your dreams?" And the Busters go about this whole philosophy with her, where they're like, "We didn't give up on our dreams. We just stopped letting the world dictate what we were
allowed to dream.
We stopped letting the world dictate how we viewed ourselves and what we were capable of doing."
Yeah.
And so we opened up this bar for people like us as a place to just be instead of having to be a quote unquote loser.
Yeah.
And while they're discussing this with her, a match comes on the television.
Just about the time that Andy is like, maybe I should give up on my dreams, and is going over to a payphone to call her parents to be like, "Guys, I know it's already been one day, but can I come home?"
And the match has Barong.
Yes.
And she stops and she's kind of staring at it. And Goldie goes, "Huh, our girl's a fan of
the Pantheon,"
which is apparently a stable of wrestlers who consist of Barong, Queso Poblano, and probably a couple others.
And we know she is because she did have a Pantheon poster in her room that she was hiding with an accounting poster. And it was much more amusing when her parents were standing in the way of it, and I couldn't really read the end, and I was like, I think it says Pant Hero. Would have been a better wrestler.
Which is just the best genist.
Yeah. Which, I mean, fair. I got fucking Midoriya vibes from her when she's like, I can finally ask a wrestler my question. Can I be a wrestler even though I'm quirkless? I mean, an accountant?
Yeah, a little bit. And so they're kind of ribbing her for being a fan of the Pantheon.
Yeah.
And she's like, "So?" And they're like, "Oh, well, the Pantheon actually have a gym here in town. They just don't really keep up with it anymore." And 2 and 2 click in her head. And she's like, "Oh, that's that gym I was going to."
Do you think they're going to come back anytime soon? And well, no, Barong's still grinding his way through it. He's number 10th in the world at the moment. And Queso Poblano.
They also mentioned another member.
Yeah, but I don't remember what it was, so I don't
get it. They mentioned a tag team. They're they're traveling the world. Barong is 11th out of the entire world is
11,
standing
sorry.
right now.
And Queso Poblano, well, she's off doing her own thing, and she's like, wait, what's she doing?
Well-
And Goldie slams down a jar of pickled peppers, and
yeah,
it says anti-peas. She's like, she's making peppers. We get them directly from her. She lives, like, just outside the city.
just a couple hours outside of town, and Andy's eyes light up. She's like, really? Can you take me to her? And they're like,
Yeah, sure.
in the morning. But for now, you're going to stay here tonight. And so Andy lays down and like basically immediately passes out. And so Goldie tucks her in to the booth because it's a booth in a bar.
Yeah.
And then the next day they go on a road trip out to Auntie P's.
Mm-hmm.
It should be mentioned that Pampa has a bit here where like whenever everybody's talking, he'll be like, did I ever tell you the story about da 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 da?
Yeah, apparently one time he almost got hit by someone famous with their car.
I think it was a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And then everybody else is like, Pampa, shut up.
Yeah.
And so they get to Auntie P's and Pampa goes, I ever tell you the time I almost dated Queso Poblano? I think it was a Tuesday. And then
They drive off.
Goldie's like, bye, and they drive off.
Yeah.
And they leave Andy at the bottom of this driveway outside of this house. So Andy walks up to the door.
It's an old, rundown house. It honestly kind of gives me Courage the Cowardly Dog vibes for like the construction of it,
Yeah.
but more rundown.
So she walks up to the door.
It's like, this is it. This is my moment. I'll finally be able to train to be a wrestler. Queso Poblano will definitely teach me. It'll be great. Knocks on door.
And the old lady with the pepper on her back opens it and goes, just looks at Andy. And he goes,
You?
You're Queso Poblano? And she goes, never mind. Can you teach me to be a wrestler? And then Poblano slams the door shut.
And that's the end of the episode. Honestly, a fucking fair reaction. This child stalked her from a completely different fucking island.
Yeah.
Seemingly. Obviously didn't, but like, we only know that because we saw it from her perspective.
Mm-hmm. That's the end of episode 2. So Justice, after episode 2, do you plan on watching more Invincible Fight Girl?
Depends. Do those 3 background characters show up more?
Is
this actually just more Cowboy Bebop?
I don't think so, but I can tell you, based on what I just saw on the wiki, Pampa, Goldie, and Coca show up again.
Neat.
They apparently host a monthly tournament for like amateur wrestlers.
Oh, neat. Pampa didn't really get very far in wrestling because despite the fact being strong, he's not flexible because he is a cactus and his cells have walls, so he's not flexible. Coca is a bird person and molts 8 months out of the year.
And also probably has hollow bones.
And Goldie is just seemingly really fucked up. She's wearing a power suit, it seems, and Goldie's arm and assumingly more of her body is really, really fucked up. Like it's a dark red and seems to be scarred and maybe burnt. I couldn't tell if that's what it was supposed to be. But yeah, so I don't think they're going to be involved in any of the wrestling was what I was going to get at there.
Oh yeah, probably not. They just host the tournament.
Though apparently Coca got quite far and was actually pretty successful, but she was just like, nah man, too much hassle trying to wrestle and be a bird person.
Yeah, fair enough. So you're saying you wouldn't watch anymore because the Cowboy Bebop characters aren't going to keep showing up?
No, that's not my real reason, but I probably still wouldn't watch more for the reasons I gave in the first episode.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I don't plan on watching more at this point.
The only reason I'd watch more is just to watch Craig get like murdered by someone.
Yeah, I just have no interest in this show. I can see where, like, it's a good... I don't think it's a bad show. Let me say that. I don't think Invincible Fight Girl is a bad show.
No, I think if you want, like, a more comedy, American-style cartoon with some quality animation, voice acting, about wrestling, and has great action animation, watch the show.
Yeah, it's just a very, like, narrow niche. And even me, a, like, active wrestling fan, has no interest in this show, which is probably not good for it.
I mean, it has a second season.
Yeah, that's true. Like I said, though, in a lot of ways, it feels similar to Ultimate Muscle.
Yeah.
Like, the plot's not the same, but, like, the world concepts are similar. And I liked Ultimate Muscle as a kid, so I assume I would have loved Invincible Fight Girl. Just not my cup of tea anymore. Like, I have zero plans to ever go back and watch Ultimate Muscle because I know, like, it's just a show that, like, lives in my brain via nostalgia.
Fair.
It's not like Metabots, which is actually, like, a legitimately good show, but, it's just in my brain for nostalgia purposes. Or, like, Udon Food Fight.
Yeah.
Like, those shows, like, my brain remembers them and it's like, those were so much fun. And I go, only because you were a kid.
Cubots?
You mean Cubics?
Cubics, yeah.
Robots for everyone?
Yeah. Also only ever good as a kid.
I don't know. The music's still fun.
Yeah, but the show was bad.
Fair enough. So I think what we're saying is, if you're the specifically right demographic for this show, watch it. I'm sure you'll have fun with it.
I don't even think it would be specific demographic. I think you just have to not be someone who, what they love about wrestling is the fact that it is scripted.
Yeah.
Which is basically you.
I don't think I'm the only one.
I mean,
I think there's like a sizable portion of people who love wrestling because of the like actual like staged nature and the like storytelling that comes with that.
Sure, but the show is also scripted, so there's that. And I assume it cares about its storytelling and how it does things. It just doesn't deal with that being the fake part of it.
The presentation of wrestling in the show doesn't have to do with that.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, if you like cool fights and you're just accepting the fact that this is wrestling, you're watching only the story parts of wrestling, basically, in the show.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fine. And then if you just don't dislike wrestling, it can be appealing to you. So I think the issue is that it's framed as a wrestling story, which is why you don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like if it wasn't wrestling, it was like, hey, this girl's gonna go off and be
100%.
A fighter.
If it wasn't like
Generic fighter.
If it wasn't staging itself in terms of wrestling, you're right, I would like it more.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's like the exact reason why I love the TV show Hills.
Yeah,
is why I'm not a fan of this.
Yeah, which is why I'm saying I don't think it's as niche as you're making it out to be.
That's fair.
You're just against it.
So
you're nicher. The reason you dislike it is nicher than the reason why I dislike it.
Yeah. So exactly what I'm saying here is. And this is a me problem. And I know it's a me problem because every time somebody's like, oh yeah, you like wrestling? I'm like, yeah. And then they start talking about wrestling, I can immediately go, oh, we don't like wrestling the same way. Because like, people be like, oh, you like wrestling? What do you think of John Cena's heel turn? He's such a dick, right? I'm like, no, John Cena is an amazingly sweet and kind guy. His story arc for his character is fantastic, and like he's playing a bad guy well. But John Cena is not a dick, and they're like, I don't know, the way he like flipped off that kid, and you're like, so you're conflating like kayfabe with like reality, and like that's the like, and it's the same thing with Magic the Gathering. There's like an entire like existence of Magic the Gathering players who are like, oh yeah, I like EDH, and I go, cool, and I try to start talking with them, and they're like, they don't actually understand Magic like as a rule set. And they barely understand how to play the game. And it's like, oh.
You don't like this thing the way I like it. You know, and I get that. What I'm saying is...
That's a me problem. I'm too niche. I get it.
Anytime the response to something, the explanation being as to why you don't like something is, well, you would have to like it differently than the way I like it. You're probably the one who's being more niche about it.
Yeah, you're right. 100%. I'm too niche on wrestling. That's my fault.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the show's fine. I think the animation's good. And I think the voice acting's really good. I'm just not a fan of it.
Fair. So I agree on all of those points.
Just differently.
Yeah.
So yeah, Invincible Fight Girl, new season's coming to Adult Swim, I think. If not, it's coming to HBO Max or Max, whatever it's
There's
called.
probably some way you can watch it.
Yeah, it should be coming out sometime this year. If this sounds like a cool show to you, give it a shot. I'm sure
it still sounds like a cool show to me, which is what makes it upsetting that I don't want to watch more of it. I still think it sounds like a cool fucking show.
I saw the trailer, I was like, this is dope!
Mm-hmm.
And I just didn't click with me in the same way in execution.
Yep.
Anyways, that's our opinions on the Invincible Fight Girl. If you want to get in contact with us, there's a myriad of ways to do that. You could reach out to us at our email at copilotsreview@gmail.com.
You can find a link to that as well as our Blue Sky and our Discord
and our Patreon
and our YouTube by going to copilotsreview.simplecast.com.
And a reminder, currently, every day on YouTube, there's a new episode from our backlog being posted, so check that out.
Or another way to get in contact with us is to find someone who runs a bar that buys their peppers specifically from us and have them drop you off at our place.
We'll slam the door in your face.
Yeah.
But
and be very confused about how you managed to find us and also if you stalked us. But it's a possible way to do it.
But anyways, thanks for listening.
And please fly again soon.